what is happening with Apple TV? And the fact that you aren't even sure which thing I'm talking about is exactly the point. Real quick, before we get into this, if you want to keep up to date with the latest Apple news and reviews, hit that subscribe button. Right now, I feel like Apple TV is having a moment, while also having a little bit of an identity crisis. See, this all kind of started when Apple decided to rename Apple TV Plus to just Apple TV. That means we have the Apple TV app, the Apple TV streaming service, and the Apple TV 4K set-top box. Of course, you can imagine the memes that started. Oh, I can watch Apple TV on an Apple TV. Look, I don't want to belabor the point here because in many ways, the naming makes sense, right? Everyone does just call it Apple TV, which was Eddie Q's point on the renaming. Why not do it? But Q also said that we have the Apple TV 4K, which is different. But I'd argue the same logic holds. Everyone just calls it the Apple TV, not necessarily the Apple TV 4K. Seems inconsistent to apply that logic to the streaming service, but not to the hardware box. Apple is also calling this a vibrant refresh, and yet the only thing we've gotten so far is a colorful new icon. Is that all there is to the rebrand? Regardless, the streaming service does seem to be increasing in its popularity as Apple continues to push out updates to it. Many rumors suggested Apple had about 43 million subscribers or so, a sharp contrast to Netflix's massive 300 million worldwide. But on the Town Industry podcast, Eddie Q said the real number is significantly higher than that one that's been rumored. And I bet that's probably going to grow based on everything that Apple has been releasing. For example, you can now bundle both Peacock and Apple TV together for a singular price. Monthly subscribers can save like 30% on the pair, while Apple One subscribers can save around 35% on them. This is the first time we've gotten like a deal like this. Apple TV users also will gain a few shows from Peacock for free, while Peacock users will also be able to sample the first several episodes from Apple TV shows. This, of course, will spur adoption of both. And that brings more live sports to Apple users like the NBA season that's kicking off. Not to mention, the MLS playoffs are free for Apple TV subscribers, no season pass necessary. Then, we just got the massive news that Apple TV will be the exclusive home to F1 for possibly the next 5 years in a huge $750 million deal. Apple's own in-house shows have been on a hot streak too. Shrinking just announced a return date. Morning Show recently returned. Ted Lasso is coming back. The Last Frontier is great. And new movies like The Lost Bus have proved popular. Sound off in the comments to let me know your favorite movie or TV show on Apple TV. Even though Apple doesn't have this massive back catalog of licensed content, I think it's a solid value in the streaming space, especially for Apple One subscribers. I did a whole video on how great a deal Apple One is at the moment, so check that out if you need a refresher. At the same time, many, me included, have eagerly been awaiting a refresh to Apple's set-top box. One has been rumored for some time now. The release window was narrowing in on this fall or even October specifically. As recent as last week, Mark Gurman from Bloomberg pointed to Apple's waning supply in stores as more evidence that a new upgrade was about to drop. Yet here we are. Apple just released a new MacBook Pro, new iPad Pros, a new Vision Pro, but no Apple TV. I just realized, like, reading through the script, I've literally been calling it the Apple TV for like half this video, proving my point at the beginning. No one calls the Apple TV 4K. Anyway, so where are we now with that updated hardware? Basically limbo. There have been no new rumors since Apple's last round of launches. It could be possible for Apple to still do a new wave of launching, including the similarly dated HomePod Mini. With the new Apple TV rebrand coming with 26.1 update, maybe the new hardware is planned to hit at the same time as that. Or Apple could be punting the new devices until the spring to coincide with the new version of Apple Intelligence and Siri. Believe me, I am just as curious and eager as all of you. As a refresher, the updated box will include likely an A17 Pro processor. It'll have Apple's new N1 networking chip with Wi-Fi 7, Bluetooth 6, and Thread. I'd also be shocked if it did not contain verbose support for Apple Intelligence. I think that's sorely needed for Apple TV in many ways. I also wonder if Apple would change the name. I mean, it's rebranding the streaming service. Why not rebrand the hardware at the same time with a new model on the horizon? It could be the Apple TV Ultra, the Apple TV Streamer, or the Apple TV Home. Who knows? Let me know your votes for a new name down below in the comments. We'll see what happens. Maybe this video that I spent all this time on will have a shelf life of a day, and Apple announces a new one by the time that all of you watch this. If so, be sure you're following so that you can stay up to date with all of the latest news. Otherwise, I'll just catch you guys all in the next video.